Hello everybody, welcome to Wine Library TV. I'm your host, Gary Vaynerchuk, and this is Wine Library TV. This is probably an episode that's been on my mind for about 183 episodes, and I've yet to do it, and this is the perfect time to do it, so I'm extremely excited about this. I am going to be tasting the same exact wine 4 different ways. You may remember that yesterday, the Canon Cup Pinotage did really well for us, and I was really excited about it. Once again, huge mistake I made yesterday, so let me point that out. Thanks for all the Vaynerchuks that pointed this out. I said that Steven Tanzer scored this wine 96 points. What he scored this wine was 90 points. And later on I said, I agree with Steven, he hit the nail on the head, gave it 91 points, and everybody was confused. So Tanzer's score on this is 90, mine is 91. And so I'm a very big fan of the wine. You can watch yesterday's episodes for all that. But what I've done is, this is actually the same exact bottle of wine. It's been opened all night that we had yesterday. Then this wine opened at 10:20, and now it's almost 4. So this wine has been open for about 5 hours or so, and has been decanted for 5 hours. And then this bottle was open at the same exact time, but has not been decanted. And then finally, this bottle I will open right before I taste it. And what we're going to try to analyze, and we're not going to score each wine, I'm not going to get into that, but what I'll get into is the characteristic differences, if there are any, of the 4 wines, and we're going to taste them in theory, the way that they should be tasting, really the softest to the hardest. Let's do it that way. And I'm excited about this episode. I think a lot of people have asked for this in the past, and it's going to be a really fun little Mr. Wizard action for you and me, and we should have a lot of fun for that. Quick links. Numero 1, Sugar Smacks. Great work by all the Vaynerchuks. You made me very happy. I figured out the cereal that I was talking about. That was the cereal I was talking about. Chris Mott just told me that he actually has eaten some Sugar Smacks very recently. So that's exciting. He's going to bring some in for me. So link over there. Also, the VO contest has been fantastic. There's been some very interesting submissions in the last couple days, so I'm going to give you a link to all of them, and one special one done by Steve-O in Chicago right underneath that. If you've not seen this, you've got to watch this episode he did. He did a phenomenal job. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of a little bit worried that he might take my job. Finally, before we get into the wines, I just want to do one last thing and talk about how downright excited I am about Friday. Today is Wednesday, and Friday I will be in Chicago, and I will be at the Vaynerchuk party, and I'm looking to enjoy that with 75 people, and we're going to have a great time. I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you. It's going to be a great night, and you know, in these times with all the tragedies that just have gone on, it makes a lot of people reflect on family and friends, and it's a really good time actually to, you know, just get closer and be part of, you know, your family and your friends and your networks, and so, not to use a tragedy in this way, but you know what, lurkers, this is a good time to come out and join us, because you know what, you are a part of this family. We just like to know who you are. And so, you know, the Wine Library TV community, thank you so much for all the emails I got from the last episodes. Many of you are from that area, and there were some really touching emails, and you know, it's beyond humbling. I really don't think I deserve to, you know, be part of the healing process, but I appreciate that. And most importantly, like I noted today, sorry, I'm a little bit dysfunctional, it's forever. It should not just be something that was on the news for a couple days and we forget. I mean, I know that I'm in a geographical area that still to this day, every day I drive home, I don't see the World Trade Center, and it hits me very hard. I know it doesn't hit every part of this country the same way, as I get to travel a lot, and I think the people in Virginia in that area are going to realize, the alumni and a lot of people are going to realize that some people will forget, but I want you to know that at least here at the Wine Library TV and Wine Library and our whole family, you know, it's just something we'll never forget, and we're really saddened by it. And I have a brother in college right now, so you know, those kind of things hit home, and you know, I just really hope that that you know, we can all come together and move in a positive direction. Let's talk about something positive, and something positive is vino. Vino is very positive, especially when you're tasting the same wine over and over and you're trying to learn something. So let's see if we can learn something together, because that's why you're here, not for me to spew all my different thoughts on life. So this is the Canon Cop 2004 Pinotage, and again, I was emailed that it's not pronounced Pinotage. I guess it's I'm a little bit confused, actually. I'm not really good at pronunciation, if you haven't noticed. So maybe you can call me. Or actually, there was a link there to listen to it, so I'm going to do that tonight. Anyway, this is the one that's been opened for over 24 hours. It's still maintaining tremendous color. And, you know, color is something tough. You know, you don't always get great color. What's that? Oh, you always get great color, so no big deal on that. Big nose has definitely changed a little bit from yesterday, from what I remember. The banana is still there, but it's almost like more of a fried banana now. The aluminum and the rust has kind of gone away. I'm getting a little bit of a bacon fat element that I definitely did not get yesterday. But still, all in all, the banana is still pretty ripe, actually. It's still right there, and I do still get some rusty nails as well, so it's changed a little bit. It feels like it's mellowed, and it definitely has put on a bacon component on it. Let's give it a whirl. Here's fun point number 1. This wine has been opened, no corked, no pump, no anything, for 24 hours on my counter, just like it could be on your kitchen counter, and it still has tremendous grip, has not fallen apart. It's extremely extracted. It still has a really interesting olive component that I tasted yesterday, still coming through, green olive component. That's real nice, but this wine is tasting pretty similar to yesterday. I would say the main difference I'm tasting right now from my memory bank is maybe it's slightly more polished than yesterday, but once again, that could just be what I had for breakfast or who knows what. So it's going to be a lot more interesting to analyze against the other 3 wines. But that being said, not a huge change. I think one fun fact is that the wine has been open and everybody's so scared and paranoid. Vacuum pump for the next day or close, or how do I put it in my fridge? Wine is tougher than you think. And I'm going to get on a little bit of rant. Wine is much tougher than you think. Wine has spiked hair. Wine has a tattoo. Wine has a cigarette burn in its arm. Wine is a tough-ass guy or girl, and it's much, much tougher than we humans give it credit for. So stop babying wine. Stop treating it like it's still 8 years old. It's all grown up now. Wine is a much tougher animal than a lot of people give it credit for in heat, in aging, and overnight. So, with that being said, by far the biggest thing going on here is the shocking youth of this wine and the fact that it should have fell apart overnight, right? Because if you didn't use the vacuum bin. So, real nice. Again, the olive component, the banana, the rust, it's all there. And I'm interested to see what happens now. This is the wine that's been open for 5 hours and been decanted. Give it a rinse first. So, this wine is been opened in theory about 19 hours, 20 hours, 21 hours depending. Less than the first wine, but it's been decanting in a bigger oxygen area than the first wine. And let's see what happens here. What you're having here, you may not know this, is the Canning Cup 2004 Pinot Taj. Opened at 10:20 a.m. Let's give it a whirl. Nice color. So a little bit of a tighter nose than the first wine, no doubt about it. I'm getting a lot more of the aluminum, kind of steely, rusty nail aspect on this, more so than the bananas. More so than even yesterday's bananas, it kind of feels like. I'm getting also a little hint of mocha and chocolate on this nose as well. Intriguing. Great firm tannins. The banana coming through now. Love that banana. Banana metal. It's like unbelievable. It's almost like, just think of bananas coming out in the 1970s in a rock band. It's like banana metal band. That's what this is really like. It's really quite obvious that this is structured with, you know, great firm tannins, great grip, nice complexity. Very, very similar to the first wine. There are some subtle differences. There's a little bit more of a zingy-zangy kind of thing going on here. So the tannins are biting a little bit more. You know, sometimes the fish bite, so you got to be careful. And that's what's going on with this. But all in all, very, very similar to the first wine. Very subtle little things. And nitpicking. If I had to say if I preferred one or the other, I really would. It's so close, it's not even enough of a factor. Let's move on. This is the Cannon Cop 2004 Pinotage. Opened at 10:20 a.m. Not decanted. Let's give it a whirl. And a pour. This is fun. All right. Nice color coming through. Nice and dark. Pretty tight, very similar again, once again, to the last wine, since it is the same exact wine. Pretty much on the same point. There's a little bit of a difference. This definitely is a little bit tighter than the last one, which was a little tighter than the other one. So I definitely feel there's clearly a situation where the oxygen breaking down, or whatever it's doing, because somebody's rebuting that it's a breakdown of the tannins, but it's definitely doing something to the bouquet. You can definitely see much more on the nose. If nothing else, this wine is consistently strong. This is a good wine, boy. Rusty nails, bananas. It's going to get a little bit boring now. What I'm finding intriguing so far is, of the three wines, no doubt about it, there's a much more bigger variance on the bouquet than there is on the actual flavor profile of the wine. This wine is very silky and very smooth. It's got a lot of great structure, but once again, banana, rusty nails, aluminum, little aluminum can, and a little faint, different levels of the olives. I'm getting a little more on the bottle number one, but green and black olives are definitely a component of this wine, and there is that smokiness. I'm getting a lot more bacon on this, though, than I am on these two wines, and I feel like the bacon is a developing flavor profile on something decanting, and something to look forward to as it ages. On the palate, wine number 2 and number 3 are pretty much right on point, exactly, very similar. Wine number 4. I really want to take off the darn thing, but what are you going to do? It's not wiggling off. So, wine number 4. Oh, that was cool. Wine number 4. My foot's stuck. We're going to pop now. Right on the spot. And we're going to give it a whirl. So this is the, if you've never heard of this, this is the Cannon Cop 2004 Pinotage. And really should be interesting to see how this tastes like. I've been dying to try this wine. Little whirl. This wine was just popped and poured. Let's see what happens here. Very similar to the second and third wine on the nose. With the subtle differences that 2 and 3 had, this is much more towards wine number, believe it or not, number 2 more than 3, which is intriguing because 2 went through the decanting process. I could see it more through this, and you could say the theory is that the air isn't getting in and not doing much, but it's actually leading to a little bit more through 2. Again, we are talking very, very subtle things, and I'm really trying and really seeking out. I think just commonly hanging out, you wouldn't even see him pick these things out. Like people, every wine is different. Somebody once told me, there's no such thing as a great wine, there's only great bottles. But that being said, Cannon Cop has actually been able to masterfully execute a pop and pour, what I call. And pop and pours are great when you can just pop it and pour it and drink it. It's great. And this wine is drinking tremendously. It's singing on my palate. And it's singing a great song. Probably Lionel Richie or something like that. Actually, Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne. Have you heard that song? Can't get it out of my mind. So, I was just about to sing it. I'm glad I did. you know, at the end of the day, these wines, the variation is very small. What I'm going to do right now is just give one taste, go right from the tightest wine in theory to the softest. Interesting stuff. Three wines over here are definitely far more similar than the first wine. The first wine, believe it or not, has a great elegance and much more polished, refined flavor. I think that you will be surprised that if you take very young, big extracted wine, Shiraz, Syrah, Cabernet, Bordeaux, and you drink some and you don't vacuum in them, and you leave them on your counter, and you let them sit for 24 hours. This is a common thing that I do, and I really wanted to put it to the test, and I'm really seeing it. And sometimes you don't feel a big difference, but there's definitely a more polished silkiness to the first wine. It's been airing for a long time, much more than the variance between the three wines over here. Probably the biggest thing that happened through the four wines is on the bouquet. You're probably seeing the biggest difference, but on the flavor profile, even on the palate, even on these last two, there was a enormous amount of similarities. It's the same wine. I mean, you're getting a little bit more of a polished, rounder wine with a little less zippity zip on your palate, the tannins. Great wines all around. I mean, once again, I'm very proud and happy to say this is an easy 91 point wine. Great job by them, and I'm really glad I got to use this interesting grape varietal as the experiment for this. And again, what I was getting to, which was some wines would probably change very much through this process, and we'll try to do this at least once every 4 or 6 weeks just to see if we can find a wine that really dramatically changes, because I'd like to do that for you. Question of the day. And this question of the day is actually a demand. I beg you, and I ask you kindly to open a really special bottle of wine this weekend. Wine is there to be drank, not to be looked up on and to brag or to show off what you got or to be cataloged. And more importantly, life is short and you need to enjoy every moment you have. And so I demand that you open a fantastic bottle of wine this weekend, if you can, if you're around friends and family, because that's the best way to do it. Pop it with a friend or family member, and most importantly, what wine is that going to be? What are you going to be popping? I'm going to pop something. I'm probably going to pop a 1975 Leoval Escasse Magnum. I've been looking at them forever. That was my birth year. And you know what? I'm going to pop one this weekend when I get back from Chi-Town. Because you, with a little bit of me, we're changing the wine world, aren't we?